So that's a review of Star Trek Picard season 3, episode 4, No Win Scenario. This is when it deviates from being Wrath of Khan to being something else, because they really didn't want to do Wrath of Khan, which don't do Wrath of Khan. Yeah, don't do that again and again and again. Something different. And this one they don't. It's more of a cat and mouse thing with them hiding in a box, basically. Well, a nebula, until they can escape. It's similar to Wrath of Khan, but it's it's in many ways different. Yeah, it's a nebula and it's a submarine battle. And they're hiding in a submarine, basically. We get the Seven looking for the changeling. We get the Picard and crew going over the thing, related to the sun and them being trapped and being helpless, and then Riker wants to write a last log entry and all that, and it's all very dark. This whole season, so far, it's lit very dark. Not sure why they're doing that. Why they don't turn the lights up a little bit? It's like they went from opposite of lens flares to making it dark. So as the characters continue their scenario thing, so looking for the changeling, Seven goes to see the Captain Shaw, who tells him about changelings, how to find the changeling's bucket and stop the changeling. Changeling, asking questions that it can't, which is really obvious. Asking imposter questions it can't answer. The evil spy won't know those things. Yeah. Also, in Spain, because it's a sci-fi story on a television screen, they can't smell them either. You'd think they would smell different. They can't mimic their smell. Yeah, but they never addressed that. There's certain ticks they couldn't mimic either. They can't do it perfectly. That wouldn't make sense. But you have Picard and Riker. Well, Picard and Jack talking the 10 forward bar that they updated to make it look like the 10 forward set from the last show. There's a father-son talk thing. Shaw shows up and admits that he's kind of a dick, but that he was he met Picard in battle at Wolf 359, and we kind of guessed that was what was going to go on, and y'all guessed right. It was a battle of Wolf 359. He was like a lowly technician person and so they go and they showed a shot in the preview of a Star Trek ship getting blasted in the warp nacelle thing, so that everybody would think that they're going to get the warp nacelle blasted and they're going to die. No, that was fake out. It was a different ship. I'm not sure when that's going to happen. But there's like contractions from the space warp that's going it's in its birth. Anyway, Shaw admits to the Battle of 159, and he was assaulted by the Borg, and it was a life pod, and they had to get in it, and all that connects to later on, and there was ways for them to escape, and that's how they figure out how to really use the space warp's lightning blasts to essentially ride the wave like a soliton wave out of the like a made-up space surfboard wave out of the warp field generated by the anomaly itself. It's shooting energy out of itself to do something. It doesn't make sense, but either is warp drive, so it works. I think they would know that already. I think their sensors would tell them that the thing is shooting out energy. Why don't they ride that out of the ship? They're move over the rope casings and escape. They would have known that. But even though Terry Matalas did write some Star Trek and was on Deep Space Nine Voyager, he apparently wasn't too into. They're trying to be into the lore, but I think they would have figured this out like in the TNG days in about 2 minutes instead of 40 minutes. I think they would have. Maybe they're getting old. I don't know. They would have, wait a minute. Why don't we? It's like a warp signature. It's like shooting out of the sensors out of the warp thing is making the nebula because it's like a womb, a space womb thing. Tomorrow's daughter, tomorrow's son. This is very silly Trek. But sort of a dark mirror silly Trek. So yeah, and the evil Shrike lady, the Vatic, goes back to try and get them, and when they pop out of the vortex, they riding it. She doesn't attack the warp engines. Nobody dies in the warp engines, and they go out into. So I want to add to that they made a star date in there, 7811 something, which matches up with if it's 78,000 something, it's going to line up with 2401, not 2404. So this story takes place before the events of Starship Strange Worlds by about a year, and is not in 2404 but in 2401. Nemesis was 2379, so this is 24 years later. It doesn't match up with the kid at all, just so you know. The actor playing him is 30-something, and he's playing somebody 20-something. I guess that's possible, but it does not match up, just so you know. So the alien, so there's like alien jellyfish things, kind of like the first movie out there, and kind of, but not the same. The Riker uses asteroids floating around for some reason, even though it's been shooting energy out. There wouldn't be any rocks there, but there are. And they throw an asteroid at that ship and escape. They don't have to. Then Riker, they don't have to die. Riker writes to Troy. The life support was briefly off, but then it's on. So there's all these things going on. They figure out the changeling, like the changeling's dumb enough to go where Seven and the other captain are, and apparently it's not a very bright changeling. He gets shot twice, and that's where all the shooting and the crew and stuff happens. That's actually trailer. That's all the changeling stuff. And then they go to Seven. The changeling disguises itself as LaForge, the LaForge's daughter, and they immediately figure it out that it's the changeling. Shoot it. Yeah, it's not a very bright changeling. Yeah, so yeah. I think they would be able to scan that too. And the caps come off and stuff. Can't they do that kind of thing from inside the ship? Even though, yeah, they said, it's a refit from the old one or something. Wouldn't then the ship not be able to fly with the cell caps missing? I think. Also, this is episode 4 of probably 10. This is the middle of the series, essentially finishing the Nebula story arc entirely. No Worf in this one. No Raffi in this one. How are they going to get from... What are they going to do next for the next 6 hours? I guess they'll do 4 more of some other sort of strung along thing, and then they'll have 2 finale ones where everybody gets together. Because so far we have not seen LaForge or Lore or the other ones. Whether it be Brent Spiner Lore or Mike Stolowska Lore from Silly Trek, either one. But yes, whether it be either one, Mike Matthews, it's called in this version, but it's Mike Stolowska from Red Letter Media. Anyway, and then there's Rich Evans, who's playing Richard Everson as Neelix. But they don't show up. That'd be funny if they showed up. You blink and you miss it, you'll see some characters from the cast. But yeah, but no, I was not on the set of this one. Yeah. It's funny that the Shaw character is Henderson from Star Crackers, but that he is being played like he's Scott the Gamer from from the cast. It's as if they met those people, and they couldn't have met Henderson, but they could have met Scott. Anyway, so I mean, ArcSoft is doing their ship models in the show, so they could have met. But they probably didn't. He's not that high up in the ranks. Yeah, they probably did. Anyway, so yeah, it was fine. It was just a little dark, like physically dark. They didn't light it very well. I'm not sure why they did that. Make it look more cinematic, I guess. Actually, what it is to hide stuff that doesn't look right. That's why they did it, because the set is clearly the Stargazer that they redressed to look like the Titan. Or they didn't want to show that too bright. Also, they kind of rushed season 3, filmed it back to back with season 2, which means the cast appearances in that one makes sense, but then they were sticking around for part 3. I don't know. Anyway, but yes, there's that, and that is sort of a rundown review of this episode. It's fine. It's not Wrath of Khan, thankfully. It's not them trying. It's basically them in a submarine trying to get out of being on the bottom of the ocean. Basically, that's basically what it is. It's also the physics thing. It's also the cat in the box, the Schrodinger's cat kind of thing. And this is the third scenario where they claw their way out of the box. There's supposed to be 2 scenarios, but there's 3. First scenario is the cat is alive and dead and alive. There's not supposed to be a third, but there is. The third is chaos. The third is cat figures out a way out. Claws his way out. Yes, so they did the third one. That makes it silly Trek, basically. Starship. Silly Realms, which it totally is. Well, indirectly. It isn't, but it is. Yeah. I'm okay with it if they want to borrow our stuff. The start date would be 2401. Apparently, Metalis went back and recalibrated so that the dates would match, but that makes the 3 years in between season 2 and 3 impossible, unless they follow the Cillian Realm rules and say 3 years just disappeared between Star Trek Picard and Phantoma and Clerks, the Silly Trek story, 2296 to 2299, and so now it's scant 5 or 6 years after that. So when does the story take place? And the cadet's talking to Picard 4 years earlier. When was that? Was that 2370? Was that 2396 when they were when he's talking to them? 2397 during the pandemic, or 2020, 2019, 2020. Now it's 2023. Yeah, it didn't match up. Well, now they tried to recalibrate it to match up, but now they've created a paradox of silliness. Anyway, that's the point of that. I didn't forget to mention the start date. They mentioned the start date at the end, and it matches up with now if they recalibrated it back. So how does that work? If they said, oh yeah, we have to fix that. It's 2401 now. Like, that doesn't work. But okay, they went with it.